Okay, welcome everybody, and thank you for taking the time out. And I know your days are so busy to participate in this discussion panel, in particular about the iSupport program that you've all been involved in. And I think perhaps before we get too far into it, I might just get everyone to very briefly introduce themselves. I'll start. My name's Heather, and I'm the facilitator from Bolton Clark, one of the four organisations that are involved in the research. And my role today is just here to facilitate some discussion. So maybe Angela, we'll go to you next.
Okay, I'm Angela and I live in Ballarat, well, just outside of Ballarat in Victoria. I help support my mother who has dementia, who lives with my father. And we have been for the past, apparently now, 3 years. It's been a struggle up till now, just to get facilities and help with mum. It's just been a challenge. That's us in a teacup.
Thanks, Angela. John, and I'm just going along the row. I'm not picking anyone in any particular order. John, you're next.
Yes, John Wright from Adelaide, and I've just finished up on the program in, I think, August, 4 months, and I'm retired, and I have been carer for my wife for the last 3 or 4 years as she obtained Parkinson's disease and also Alzheimer's, which has been a very slow and steady decline over the last few years, although there was a significant deterioration in May, June this year, very late in my program. So I was in the same group as Ange, and happy to talk through the questions we've got in front of us.
Great, thanks, John. Karen.
Okay, I live in Canberra. I take care of my mother who has Alzheimer's. She was living with my father interstate, but he died in September 2021. So I spent about 3 months with her packing up the house, and then moved her to live with my partner and I in Canberra. So she's still got mild Alzheimer's. She was diagnosed in 2017, and it's more or less stayed steady since then. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Great, thanks, Karen. Chantel.
Hi, I am the sole carer for my mum who has vascular dementia, and I've been in this position for about 4.5 years.
Great, thank you. All right, so I might start off with John, seeing as though you're the only male here. I'm going back the front. Normally it's ladies before gentlemen. I'm going gentlemen before ladies. How do you think that the iSupport program has shaped or hopefully improved the way that you care for your wife, or, given you a better insight into caring?
Right. Well, from the outset, it's certainly or undoubtedly helped both shape and improve, in my case, and how the main thing for me is that it's provided me with guidance on how to deal with a whole raft of situations. I assert that I started off in the program where my wife seemed to be her dementia hadn't not advanced as much as any of the other participants in the group, or the carer participants. Although, as I say, she had a very slow and steady deterioration, but suddenly went off the rails in May and June. So I'd hate to think that I didn't have the skills that I developed during the period when I got to May or June. Yeah, I think I'll just leave it there.
Great. Has anybody got anything they would like to add to that? No? All right.
Yes.
Yes.
I think I found it really helpful. I found the program really helpful because it explained dementia and the various behaviors that can occur. So that made it easier for me to understand what was going on with my mum. And it also has helped support my partner, who's also come along on this journey without much choice, really. So I've been able to hand over the book to him as well, so we can read it together or separately. And it helps us to unpack why my mother might behave in a particular way at a particular moment.
And does it make you feel that you're not as alone?
Yes, that, but also it means that we can step back and go, well, actually, the way that we responded to her didn't work. So how might we behave differently in order to get a different response?
Yes.
And I think that's probably been the most useful.
Fantastic. Chantel.
Yes.
What were the main parts or the main components of the program that you found helpful? You know, bearing in mind that we have the book, we have the monthly Zoom meetings, we have the WhatsApp, the individual support if you need it. Was there any part of that that you found particularly helpful?
I wanted to add to question 1, but we can go back to
No,
that.
please go back to question 1.
Oh, okay. So I think the iSupport booklet itself and the online program was imperative, and you could sort of dip in or out of wherever the issues were at the time, and the guidebook was certainly invaluable.
Chantel, can I just ask whether you use the actual hard copy or whether you use the online version or both?
I think I used both.
Right.
The book was easy at times to read ahead of time, whereas a screen was sometimes a bit difficult, depending where Mum was in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great input.
So I could read the book at my own pace and keep it in a special spot in my room, whereas if my iPad was around, it was like, well, what's that you're looking at?
The question.
So a lot of this was done when she was asleep.
Yep.
Reading the book and doing the activities, but yes, it was really imperative. I found the monthly group support was valuable to me. It gave me another opportunity to work with other people in a similar situation. Was still the youngest in that group as well.
Yeah.
Which takes a little while to sort of get used to, because I'm dealing with things that none of my peers have got any insight.
Yeah.
And we also had to go through the tribunal here as well. So no one in that group had ever done that either. So to a point, there was a very steep learning curve.
For everyone.
For everyone, yes.
Yeah. So I guess that then leads into the next question. Which part of the program did you find the most beneficial?
I certainly like the group interaction monthly. That was very beneficial to me, and having access to the facilitator, which I think might have changed a couple of times here in Adelaide.
Okay.
During the time I was part of it. But I certainly found the group interaction, like I wasn't being so alone.
Yeah. Yeah. Angela, what did you find as the most beneficial component of the program?
The monthly meetings were fantastic. We had a great group. I personally got a lot out of that. A lot of information and things that I didn't think of, even working where I work. But I also find our coordinator in Heather is being, I don't even know how to put it into words, fantastic for me. You have been such a great help. You're always there if I ever needed to talk to somebody. I know I've spent some times on the phone with you in tears, or even just that little email you would give us. Both those, and the WhatsApp is fantastic. Even though I didn't really interact with it as much as I should have, gave me a laugh. Every time we had it, it gave me a laugh, and my brain was overworked. So, yeah. No, I think those three supports there were the best for me. So,
yeah. And Karen, what did you find the best component? Or which do you feel supported you the most?
I think the manual was the most supportive thing. I mean, the groups were a little tricky for me. I would attend most of them, but I found that other participants weren't able to. So there was inconsistency in who was there. There were occasions when one other person and I could actually interact really well, and I found that really supportive. But having other people going in and out constantly and having to retell and introduce ourselves constantly was kind of difficult, because it kept you at a particular level, and you didn't have enough time then to go and talk about what had happened during the week.
Yes.
Or the month, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I found my facilitator really, really helpful. Like, she was available. She would send like these little WhatsApp messages with little tips, which I found really helpful. I suspect, though, that there might have needed to have been a bit more flexibility around timing for the group facilitated sessions. I think that maybe having it during work hours was limiting for some people.
Yeah.
One person in my group was retired, and I work in the public service, so I have a bit more flexibility.
Made it very,
Whereas some people may not have been able to attend for those if they didn't work in those situations. But yeah, I think I would have enjoyed a support group that was a bit more consistent.
Yeah. John, what did you find the most beneficial component?
Whilst I found the manual and the group meetings great, for me the most significant components were the handouts that we got via emails from you, and the WhatsApp messages / tips. Those two are the ones that are the highlights for me, and all of those handouts. Even an old IT dinosaur like me, I've got those on a disc, which I refer to and go back to all the time. I mean, and also, just digressing, I'm a fan of the manual, the hard copy manual, because of my lack of IT skills. But whilst that was a great start, because I read it enthusiastically before the program really got going, it was no doubt the handouts and the WhatsApp tips at top of my list.
Great. Okay, I'm going to
I
put
never got any handouts.
Oh, look, that was just something that I did off my back.
Oh, okay.
For our participants. It wasn't something that was done in the other groups. It was just something that I kind of added in to support our participants. They kind of related to what was in the manual.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to put this question out to anybody who would like to answer it. Did you face any challenges? And I'm not talking about challenges as in your caring role, because I know that you face challenges constantly. I'm just talking about challenges within the program. You know, was there any part of it that you found quite difficult? No? Was it all ran fairly smoothly?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to put this out there to everyone. Were there any particular highlights of your 12 months that you would like to share? And I'm not putting anyone on the spot, but just if something comes to mind, I guess the highlight for me was the privilege of being part of the program and I guess being part of this chapter in people's lives. And for me, that was a great privilege. But I just wonder if there was any other highlights that anyone would like to share.
I think one of the highlights would be through the actual facilitated sessions, one of the other participants and I could swap ideas. And even though she was in a different state, the facilitator could then translate the services that that person was receiving into what I was able to receive in the ACT. So I think that sort of translation was really useful because I wouldn't have come across particular services if I wasn't actually involved in that facilitated session.
Yes, great. Fantastic feedback. And I would love to thank you all for your time. And I know it's a lot of time out of your busy days, but it's greatly appreciated. And thank you very much for your time.